pretty excited to have you guys here. I want to learn everything about what you guys are doing. And for everybody that isn't aware of what you're building, maybe explain what Alvara is, what you guys are building, and, for all the newcomers that are here right now.
All right then. Yeah, well, thanks for having me. So Alvara is the core DeFi infrastructure and protocol that we built around a new token standard, which we at Alvara also authored. So the ERC 7621 is a decentralized fund and asset management token standard. So it allows for anybody to manage a fund, mint a fund on the Alvara protocol, manage a fund, and even in the future sell the rights to the fund all in one place and on one platform. And so Alvara is the infrastructure built to facilitate the mass adoption of that token standard and allow absolutely anybody to become a manager, where performance speaks for itself. It doesn't matter what your background is. If you have the performance, you'll rank at the top of the leaderboard. And so our goal is for the 7621 to become the go-to token standard for asset management, just like how the 721 is synonymous with the NFT. People don't even think about it. The NFT is a 721. 721 is the NFT. It's just assumed, and that's what we want to do with the 7621. Is get that same level of adoption, because then, if we all believe in the future of tokenization, eventually when traditional finance does start building on-chain funds, then what is the standard that they'll default to? So that's probably the high-level elevator pitch that I can give you, but happy to expand if you need.
Awesome. I think we will expand a little bit just for people that aren't maybe too technical. You mentioned 7621, 721. So, how does the ERC 7621 standard work? Maybe in simple terms for people that aren't too technical. And then, how's it different from the standard ERC 20 and the 721?
Yeah, so the 7621 is it's quite lucky that we got that number. I mean, to be fair, it's nothing. There's no reason for it at all. It's just the one that we happen to get given, but it's only one away from the 721, which everybody knows and remembers. So, how I would describe the 7621 in sort of simple terms is, it is, imagine that you had a NFT, and within this NFT you can fit infinite amounts of other ERC20 tokens. So not only can you as a manager, buy, sell, and change weightings like you could in a wallet, for example, but outside Ethereum contributors can get exposure to your assets that you select. So it's 100% asset backed. The token standard itself works as an interface where the weightings that you change apply to absolutely everybody when you change them. And most importantly, it allows for you to earn fees from your Ethereum contributors. If you have, 100 ETH and it's 1% per annum, then that's 1 ETH in your pocket. So it mints back to all contributors, which is the important part in terms of scalability. Every 7621 has its own unique ERC20 representation as an LP token, just like how Uniswap V2, if you add LP, you get the Uni V2 LP token back. So each 7621 has that representation, which means that as a manager, you know exactly who your holders are and who your contributors are. So you can add liquidity, you can build governance features, you can add lending, derivatives, arbitrage, anything that you can innovate on top of a normal ERC20 token, you can build on top and around your 7621. So we have the potential at Alvara to have hundreds or thousands of individual sub-DAOs and sub-protocols all built on top of our very bottom layer infrastructure. So we aim to have make it as easy as possible for absolutely anybody to come onto the platform and in a few clicks, basically start up, begin managing this. And, the better you perform, the more likely it is that you can attract assets under management, the more fees you can earn. And it's a good turnstile in terms of getting contributions and starting out with getting a reputation in this very competitive industry.
Amazing. Thank you for expanding. So let me get this right. You guys created the 7621 standard. That's quite impressive. And one of the key features enabling anyone to launch the Basket token is the standard. And what is Basket and why should it matter to users?
So Basket is an abbreviation. BSKT is what we've sort of shortened it to. Well, funnily enough, originally we called it the BTS. So BTS stood for Basket Token Standard because before we officially submitted it to Ethereum as an improvement proposal, we knew we were going to, but we didn't have the official number. So the number is given by Ethereum once you actually get that through. So the basket is just a good way of describing it in familiar terms. The main difference between some other competitors who are running this sort of protocol is that everybody is building indexes or passive strategies. For example, a very, very early one was index co-op, and that's not the industry, as in the predominant amount of funds in the traditional financial market are discretionary managed, and discretionary means that you trust a manager like Warren Buffett, for example. He's a discretionary fund manager. You trust him to make the decisions on your behalf as the professional and as somebody with a track record. And so there was a lot of competitors building indexes, but there wasn't a gap. Well, there was a gap in the market to build based on what the actual industry wanted, and that is DFM, discretionary fund management. So I'd say that's the main sort of difference in our baskets versus what others have looked to do. We're trying to target the whole industry. People can create indexes if they want, but having discretionary as a standard means that we capture the whole market, not just a certain part of it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's very cool that you guys got this standard from the Ethereum Foundation. I'm curious how that process works. I mean, can you walk us through what that looks like and potentially, I mean, was it hard to pull off?
Yeah, so there's a few steps to it, to be honest. I mean, the first thing that you need to do is actually building something novel is a lot more difficult, because obviously if it's new, then you don't have as many code bases to work from, because you're not just forking something, you're not just copy and pasting some code, you're trying to do something that hasn't been done before. So the majority of the time that was spent, the actual submission process is fairly straightforward. It's some administration, but obviously the main time spent is making sure that you have something respectable to show. And so it took us a long time, because smart contracts are very limited in the computation power that they actually have. Ethereum EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, and a virtual machine is essentially a single-threaded computer chip hosted virtually. And so with that, you have a limit on your computation power. And that means that you have to basically try to fit as much in as you can in the most efficient way possible, because you don't just have endless lines of code that you can plug in, because if it's too complex, then it will break the system. The smart contract won't function. So it was very complicated in terms of trying to get the space in, trying to fit, because it's no small feat trying to get not just the ability for people to manage one of these discretionary change weightings within them, but then you've also got the ERC20 LP token to all contributors. You've got the rebalances. So that was the main time that it actually took, is trying to get the compute space down. But the actual, once you have the product and you have something original to submit, it is fairly straightforward in that process. It takes ages though to get your draft approved. Basically, I think even the ERC20, it took 2 years to go from draft to actually approval. And obviously back then, there really weren't as many proposals going through. So that was a quick result. But yeah, the difference between a draft and sort of an approval, you either get an approval based on mass adoption, and the adoption sort of pulls the approval forward, or it just takes its sweet time. So obviously, all going well, we want approval to come from the mass adoption. So yeah, we don't know when that comes through. It's just not something that can be rushed. But yeah, fingers crossed that'll come through ASAP.
Right. I think you guys will pull it off. I mean, it does sound like these could take potentially years, and I don't think the Ethereum Foundation would be moving so fast. So it's quite interesting, because we haven't hosted another project on here that's built a standard. So it's quite visionary of you guys to do so. I want to congratulate you on that as well. And like you mentioned, it's no small feat. Totally, it's quite impressive, honestly. I mean,
well, the hard part is when people ask about porting it to Solana, because obviously not just it's not just with EVM chains, it is Solidity based code, and it's fairly straightforward. But taking that Solidity based code, which we had to do all of that work in before as well, and then basically completely redesigning it in Rust, is another feat. So yeah, we don't want to. We'll cover the EVM chains first before we start worrying about that. We got enough on our plate.
Step by step. No, of course, we don't want to rush things. So, I mean, why did you guys go this approach with the basket concept instead of traditional token models? Like, what problem are you guys solving exactly in DeFi?
So, in terms of the token models, I think you're probably referring to. There's a few protocols that basically have like a ERC20 representation of a sector. The reason why we went for this model is a couple of reasons. Number one is the fact that it's 100% asset backed, and that means that you have beneficial stakeholders. For example, if you're a protocol owner or you're a community member of any token, and you set up a 7621 and its largest weighting is, XYZ token, the 7621 actually buys that token from the DEX liquidity at market. It's not just a representation, it's not a derivative, it's actually the equivalent to a spot Bitcoin or spot Ethereum ETF. The purchases are real, and that way you have many different counterparties that can benefit from this. And obviously, if protocols have lots of their community members who are including their token in their 7621 and they're pushing that, then it basically gives real buy pressure and real chances of price discovery. It also adds the safety. If you just have a representation with an ERC20, you have to trust the protocol that the funds that you're swapping it for, there's more counterparty risk. So both for decentralization's sake and also for counterparties' sake. It was the way to go. And yeah, I don't think we'd have it any other way, to be honest.
Totally makes sense. I mean, you did an amazing job in explaining the new standard, explaining Alvara. My next question is, even for myself or anybody listening, how would you launch a basket? What's the process like? What kind of assets can you include? How do you go? Yeah, what are the steps to do so?
Literally, we've made it as easy as possible in order to, get as many populated on there. Literally go to alvara.xyz, click on Basket Lab, scroll down about less than one page even, and you'll see there, upload your image, which can just be whatever you like. It could be a little description of what your basket's going to contain. It could be a logo if you want to, launch this as a proper protocol in business. Create the ticker. So, so for example, Dominic's basket, I could do DBSKT, and then have the full name as Dominic's basket. Click on next, paste in the contract addresses of the tokens that you want, or search in the drop down. If they're a large token, mega cap top 500-ish, then you'll see them pre-populate most of them, and then literally just click through. And if you've got 0.1 Ethereum as a minimum, click mint, and you are a manager. You have a basket, and other people can contribute to that, and you'll earn fees proportionally from that. Easy.
That does sound quite easy. I'm gonna have to try and build my own basket and benefit from the rewards. I mean, I saw that you guys also had your native token out, Alva, correct? Maybe you can go into some of the tokenomics. What role does it play? How's it involved in the ecosystem, the utility for holders and users, all that great stuff.
Yeah, I just had a message come up saying connection loss, so just want to check you can hear me.
Yeah, no, we can hear you loud and clear. Did you hear my
Okay,
question?
all good. Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, so we have 5% as a minimum of every factory minted. So the Basket Lab, Basket Factory, 5% as a minimum is in the Alvara token. So that, like I say, the 7621 is on the Ethereum improvement proposals. It's open source. Anybody can go on and develop one of those themselves. However, if you're using our infrastructure for that, so that you don't have to hire a dev, then 5% of the baskets waiting as a minimum will purchase and hold the Alva token. So it's not a fee, it's just a stipulation. You'd hope anyone using the project is at least 5% bullish on us to have the token in there. So that provides sort of consistent small buy pressure. Not only is it 5% from every minted basket, but any contribution to any minted basket will also be that 5%. So on top of that, we've taken the same sort of this might be a bit too technical for some people, but I'll try and keep it simple. The governance that we have employed is what's called gauge weight governance. And so the best example and comparison for this is Curve Finance, where, to those who were around for DeFi Summer, you had what was called and named the Curve Wars. And so with Curve, you staked it for up to 4 years, and your voting power would be higher the longer you stake it for. And with your VE Curve, you would then vote and incentivize your LP pools. So Curve is a DEX. We've taken that same mechanic and we've applied it to Alva. So when you stake Alva, you can stake it for up to 4 years, or you can burn it for double voting power, and that gets you the ability to vote on and send rewards to your basket or to anybody's basket that you like. So not only can you get any potential upside from any contribution, but you can actually vote and send yield. So effectively, we are paying a dividend as a protocol on your behalf to your contributors. So this works well for those who do have capital behind them, because the more Alvara they purchase and the longer they stake it for, the more voting power they get. The more voting power they have, the more yield they can send to their basket. The more yield, the more contributors, the more contributors, the more fees you earn, the more fees you earn, the more Alvara you can buy. And so it's a self-fulfilling turntable incentivizing AUM. So just like you had the curve wars where you had Convex, Yearn, Pickle Finance, Beefy Finance, Stake DAO, all fighting for as much VE curve as possible, we've taken that exact same mechanic, but we're applying it to hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of individual sub DAOs and sub protocols, all fighting for as much VE alpha as possible.
That's a pretty yeah, it's a
So
pretty significant flywheel you have going on there. And I just want to get this right. You said that every basket requires a 5% weighted Alva holding.
So every basket that's minted through our infrastructure, like I say, just like how OpenSea, they recognize any 721 or any 1155. It doesn't matter if you mint it on OpenSea or not, they will still pull it through and recognize it if it fits the standard. We are and plan to be the exact same. So any 7621, we will pull it through, because obviously in the traditional financial industry, funds and institutions have mandates. For example, a commodity brokerage wouldn't randomly have 5% of a crypto token in it. And so obviously we want people to use the token standard, and we want people to use it across as many applications as possible. And if we don't allow, if we don't open source it, firstly, we can't even have it as a token standard. And secondly, we actually want to get mass adoption so that institutions end up using it. So, like I said, anyone can code one of these themselves. And if they do so, the 5% doesn't have to be in there. But for anybody who is minting it on our platform, then 5% as the minimum is in Alvara.
Amazing. That's quite huge for token holders, honestly. How do you ensure transparency, trust, even security in the baskets? Maybe from fees, rebalancing, performance. Can that all be done on the platform?
Yeah, everything. Every basket manager has an internal dashboard where they can manage absolutely everything. So both the user who is looking to contribute, you can look at every single basket that you've contributed to on a dashboard, and you as a manager, you can rebalance and do everything through the platform. So very custom, and you can manage more than one if you do please. In terms of security, I think we've had 3 audits now. It could be 4 even. So yeah, we've certainly stress tested it. I think I think we've had Quill, Certic, and one more that I can't remember the name of, but yeah, I'm sure they're on our GitHub.
Amazing. Can't stress enough the security side of things and the audits. I mean, people are investing their hard-earned money, and we're seeing a lot of these protocols, unfortunately, be targets to malicious actors. So it's great to hear that you guys have, and that security is on top of mind for you guys. Maybe what's the incentive for these baskets for users like myself, or you can call them managers? How what are the benefits to the managers? How are their contributions? What are the incentives? How does that look like?
So from the Alvara Protocol side, there's the yield that we send to baskets. So as a manager, you, as standard, you earn 1% of the assets under management. So the 0.5% contributions to baskets, 0.5% withdrawals, and the minting fee. So you earn both Alvara and also Ethereum from staking.
Okay, that's huge. I know you guys just launched, and huge congratulations for that, from launching your mainnet, for inventing this new standard. That's extremely impressive. Can you go into maybe some of the most successful baskets? I know it's still quite early. You might not have the data or metrics, but maybe you can share some light on some of the best performing baskets and how you think that'll, what'll take place in the next few months for those said baskets.
I don't know if I'm allowed to. I will get accused of being non-independent, but
Okay,
I will
totally,
happily
totally fair,
I'll happily
totally
point
fair.
everybody to the right place. If people wanna check out the leaderboard and also the trending section, we've learned something from you there, DEXTools. We have our trending as well. Then yeah, go on to bskt.alvara.xyz, and you can see and filter by top performers. You can filter by trending, and you can see the ones that are also newly minted. Everything's there on a nice little dashboard, just like DexTools one.
Amazing. I love it. And it's a noob move of me asking about price and predictions. Sometimes it just slips out, it's the degen in me. So
We all get carried away.
exactly. You want to know how well it's doing. When Moon, right? When Lambo, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen a lot of these similar products. You can call them competitors. What's your edge here? And I know that one, creating and being the founder of this new standard, is probably a huge edge. But maybe what else do you guys have, your USP edge in the extremely competitive marketplace we're seeing right now?
Well, I'd say that there is a lot of competitors in terms of those who are in the overall space, trying to build solutions for sort of fund and asset management on chain. Um, but the main differentiator, as I mentioned, is the fact that there's a lot of innovation happening within the index space or sector specific, and you see, CoinDesk is got its top 50 token ETF. Crypto.com is coming out with these, but they are all very static. No one is really pushing the people, because you can have indexes, you can have spot ETFs, but the fund managers of the traditional finance industry are the rock stars. Warren Buffett, back in his day, Neil Woodford, Terry Smith from Fundsmith. They're some of the UK based ones. So these are the guys that go down in history. They're the celebrities of the fund management industry, and so you don't have that. You don't have the people with these other protocols because you're just measuring a sector, and the people are important. That's what gives the protocol personality, and it gives that network effect where people have got a lot of options when it comes to crypto, especially when it comes to indexes. We've got the spot Bitcoin ETFs now. The regulation is being solved. And so people already have access to indexes now, and that's no longer different. That solution was different and was useful, 4 years ago. But now we have all of that. So what we don't yet have is the discretionary fund managers and the rock stars. And so I think that's going to be our main USP going forward.
Amazing. I love all your the thorough answers that you're providing. And for someone new to Alvera watching the AMA, how can they get started? Maybe with minimal friction, and or even as a fund manager, trying to, I guess, pick the right assets, create a basket, and maybe be one of the best baskets on the platform. How can people get started?
So, well, first things I would be jump into the community and ask questions. Second, I believe that we still have our testnet up, so people can go on and use testnet ETH so that they don't have to, actually contribute funds, they can try it out first. We have tons of demos on both YouTube and run-throughs on our website. And then once you are ready, it is a very, very simple process. It shouldn't take somebody long, and as long as you've got 0.1 Ethereum as a minimum, then you can become a basket manager. So that's a bit cheaper than it was a couple of weeks ago. You need $400 at the moment. But yeah, I'd take a look at YouTube at the run-throughs and jump into the community. There's always going to be someone in there who can talk you through it. And as always, we don't DM first.
I love that. And $400 to start your own basket, to be your own fund manager. I mean, it doesn't get cheaper than that. And I love that the testnet's still available for people to, of course, experience, test, practice, and play around with it until they're ready. Again, congratulations on the mainnet launch, successful mainnet launch. What are the next major milestones? Maybe Dominic, you can tease us with any new partnerships, releases on your roadmap that the community could, keep an eye out for and be excited for.
Ooh. I don't know if we've announced this yet. I think I've definitely seen it come up in the community before. So we're hoping to launch on Base as our next network. Don't have a time estimate I can give on that, but hopefully before the end of the year, fingers crossed. There's a few sort of fixes and everything that has to be made beforehand. So yeah, once it gets to the end of November, it's like you don't actually, until the end of the year is not really accurate, because nobody updates anything or changes anything or has any sort of big announcement after first week of December, really. So we've only got sort of 4 or 5 weeks left, and there's a lot of development still to do and stuff that we want to iron out from the original launch. But yeah, fingers crossed. I think that's probably the main thing that we got coming up, which like I said, I don't know if we actually formally announced it yet, but there's the alpha.
Amazing. That's huge. I'm a big fan of the Base network, and having multiple chains to allow multiple assets, multi-chain, baskets is quite powerful in my opinion. You can diversify the assets, maybe coins or tokens that are just on the Base network, throw them into the basket, especially if they're performing well. And with different chains, we see a lot of rotations from chain to chain. So being able to capitalize on those and include them in your baskets, that's huge. And it'll give more people reasons to create baskets, invest into baskets, especially once you have multiple chains. If that's the goal, then you can have diversified basket, you could say, where you kind of take the hard work in investing, especially if you have a solid fund manager that's created a great list of tokens within the basket. Then you don't even have to do any more research. You could just kind of trust into that fund manager, and if they're returning great returns, then it's you can't really beat that, right? Essentially,
Everyone's a winner.
everybody's a winner. So I think we're just wrapping up this AMA. We have a lot of things coming up with Alvara, so this won't be the first and last AMA. And is there anything you want to kind of end with? Is there anything you want to share? Anything you may have forgotten that you want? I mean, we have, I think, 200 listeners on here right now, so this is the best chance and time to get it out to the community.
Yeah, I'd say check out the actual basket lab. Go on to alvara.xyz. Literally center of the screen, you'll see basket lab at the top. Have a click round. You can look through the leaderboard. You can see what's going on. You can see how other people are doing. And if you think you can do better, go ahead. Challenge should be accepted. I'm passing the gauntlet out. Prove it. And yeah, just have a play around. Let us know in the community if you need the testnet link, if you want to just not commit until you've ran through it once or twice. Go onto YouTube, you can see our run throughs, and yeah, everyone in the community will be happy to help and guide you through it.
I love it. Put your money where your mouth is, build that basket. Let's see those gains. And essentially, the better your basket does, the more liquidity you'll drive into that basket, right? So, as you mentioned, it's a win win win. I appreciate your time. I really do. We learned a lot, and you don't get to speak to a creator of a new standard every single day. So, it's been an honor to have you guys, Alvara, Dominic, have you on the spaces. We do deck spaces every week with the largest, chains, protocols, dapps, founders, traders. So appreciate everybody showing up to the spaces. I said 200. I think we have almost 300 people on here right now. So thank you guys for your time. Thanks for always supporting, asking questions, bringing on the top projects, recommending who you want to listen to and things like that. So totally appreciate it. We're going to be uploading this on YouTube. And as always, you can always replay this on X directly as well. So if you missed out, you can go back and listen to it. Check out the protocol, of course, play on the test net. And when you're ready, launch that basket and hopefully you can run it up. And yeah, appreciate
Thank
everybody.
you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dominic. Enjoy the rest of the evening. And thanks everybody for supporting as always.